inspired you to make your film?
My film was the very first one, Happiness is an Illusion. I based it off of a couple different things. Like I was also dating and just really frustrated with apps, and I was also frustrated with like how much I was on my phone and how everything seemed to go through it. So that was the main inspiration.
Same question.
Hi, I'm Terry Ziegelman. I did co-directed Broken Vessels. In terms of inspiration, I'd say one level I wanted to do a sort of a superhero origin story, and on another level I wanted to tell a story about a survivor learning to stand up to her abuser.
I'm Casey Fremery. I'm the writer and director of The Needle, and for basically what inspired it, for my whole career, this is the first horror film I've ever done, or at least attempted to do, and I've always wanted to do one, but the first thing you have to kind of do when you come up with, like, when you decide, okay, I want to make one, is you have to kind of figure out what scares you, and I've known a lot of people and like friends and family and stuff who've fallen victim to different types of addiction, and for me, the idea of being addicted to something that rewires your brain and is trying to kill you, and the more you try to get away from it, the more addictive it gets. To me, that was like a spiral and thing that just terrifies me more than a werewolf. And so I just kind of had this idea a while back of a feature idea of like a sort of like a riff on Nightmare on Elm Street, and I just sort of came around to this idea as a short, and just the idea of basically how a lot of horror movies, I think, kind of have addiction as like a theme, but they don't actually go with like what it actually is as much. And I want to just kind of see what can be done, that's it.
Hi, I'm Laura Medeiros. I'm the director, writer, producer for Good Times, Bad Times. It's the one about the girl with the closet and taking the Polaroid picture. So I don't have a particular inspiration besides the fact that I really want to make a movie and put it out there. But I really wanted to make something around a very limited budget, so the reason why it's only 3 minutes long and there's no dialogue and there's only 2 actors, 1 location, is because the script was crafted to be that way. Because personally, I am mostly a producer out of all things, but I really like to write. And the fact that I know how to balance writing with the producing aspect, I know what are my limitations. But in creative aspects, I think my inspirations was the fact that I wanted to tell a very common story of, appearances can be deceiving. I think the one that brings me to mind is the blue bear tale, if you're familiar with it. But I wanted to tell a story purely for visuals. That's why lighting was a very important thing for me. Mostly, I think Suspiria was an inspiration for me, like a creative comp, which I would say. That's why I really emphasize the production design and also the music and especially the lighting.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I directed The Hangman, which was the last short. So that one very much, it's also like the first sort of proper horror thing I've directed. I'm a big fan of this director called David Sandberg, who directed Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. And he makes lots of like just fantastic 3 to 5 minute horror shorts on YouTube. And my sort of inspiration was very much like, I wanted to do something in that vein, just like a short and sweet horror sequence, just practice sort of building tension and releasing tension and trying to come up with like a maybe interesting creative boogeyman. And then once I was just walking around my apartment complex, once I sort of like visualized this like upside down guy and the ceiling, that sort of launched the whole concept of like, oh, but what is he wearing? And then, oh, he has a robe. And the visuals of like, what would an upside down person's perspective be? And then that sort of just spiraled into what the short ended up being. And also, fun fact, it was actually filmed in Glendale. I live like 5 blocks away from here. And so yeah, that was just like an apartment complex, like maybe a 20-minute walk from here.
I'm Jason Camp, writer-director of Testimony, and I just wanted to do a psychological thriller, take an interrogation room, what we've seen a million times on TV, just kind of flip it, do something cool. So, and it's also based on a kind of a proof of concept for a TV show working on. So.
Well, I know it's late and you guys probably want to go home, so thank you and you guys have a-
Oh,
Okay.